Good evening, everyone. It is October 26th, 9 p.m. Eastern. This is the evening class on the indicators, chart rotations, Eagle, Hawk, Traveler, Smart Money, all of those indicators put together and going over some of the moves, some of the expectations of the market, and how we can interpret these indicators to know how we can take advantage of and profit from and come out very happy people. So what I have in front of the charts today is I have what appears to be quite a reversal of the market. So the price went somewhere. I'll open up the Falcon 32. The price made a big drop, and then at this point it turned around. So I'm going to stay away from Elliott waves. I'm going to stay away from Fibonacci's this class. I'm going to focus in on the indicators. One of the reasons why I like focusing just on the indicators is that it allows your brain to get really good at one thing. So then when you go back to Elliott waves and Fibonacci's, you can apply those things and you can see how everything fits together. And one example is this move here. You could be, if you were up here, and for those who know the Elliott wave, you could be saying this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's a possibility that maybe this is just the wave 5 of 3, and then you could maybe be expecting maybe you're expecting an A, B, C up to a 5. And so if you're just relying on the Elliott waves, you may not be in the right mindset to be, maybe you would be looking for a long because you'd be assuming, okay, there's a 4 to up to a 5 because you'd expect an ABC. But knowing the indicators really well will tell you as well what's going to happen next. So it's assembling the story, it's assembling the picture that, okay, this is clearly a 5, looks like a truncated wave 5 here, because what happened afterwards, the price went below, it went below this wave 1, which kind of nullifies that being a 4 up to a 5, and it also down here went below over here. So had you had that stuck in your head about the Elliott waves, you might have gotten lost. You might get lost in this part of the market. But if you can see what the indicators are telling you, lots of pressure to the downside, continued room on the Power Pro Smart Money to drop even further, although this is at a line where you could potentially have a reversal here because you've hit the first line. But there's likely things on, this is the Falcon 32, there are likely bigger things on the even bigger time frames telling you that this is going to go down further. So I like to keep it simple. I like to focus more of my energy on the indicators, what those are telling me, how I'm going to see how the price is going to move. But knowing those other factors is very helpful in also assembling the story of the market. So we always like to talk about the price moves from eagle to eagle. So if I open up a chart, the price gets away from an eagle, comes back to an eagle, gets away from an eagle, comes back to an eagle, gets away, comes back, gets away, comes back, goes away, comes back. And that's evident on all the charts. It always comes back to an eagle. Sometimes it cuts through that eagle, keeps going the other way, but that is a general movement of the price. And that'll happen with any type of average line. It'll always come back to that average line eventually. But it's the way we're developing our mindset on how to think about how this price moves next. So if we know that the price is going to move to another eagle, so this is the 32 chart here, and the price way down here is off of this eagle here, being the hawk. So if we had a 64 chart, it'd be the eagle and the 64. So the last time it touched the hawk was up here, and it made quite a significant push before it finally came back through to the hawk. So there's an eagle on the 32 to the eagle on the 64. That is it's a guarantee that at some point the eagle is going to get into the hawk. Sorry, not the eagles. The price will go from an eagle to a hawk at some point. If this guy, but I mean, the price could go on for quite a long ways. Like here, the price went quite a long ways before getting to that hawk, but eventually it has to get to that hawk, because time will always tell you that you can go back in historics on any chart, and that's how the thing operates or reacts. So if you are watching the price move in a direction, and this is a good example of a reversal trade here, trying to time the market in a reverse going the other way without using Fibonacci's or pivots or anything like that. Elliott waves, the indicators themselves really give us the clues, and that's what I want to dial in on this class. So yeah, this happened this afternoon. The price made a significant drop. And now I'm going to go into some of the expectations of when you see a reversal coming. So here we've got eagle below the hawk on my Falcon 32, and you've got separation with the traveler in the middle, and you've got potentially room here for this price to continue for that power pro at that second line, maybe pushing down to, yes, hitting that second line. So at this point in time, you still have separation. That hawk and traveler have not merged. So a tendency is when you get that hawk and traveler merging, you weaken the pressure. So if you've got a checklist of things going on, that's one of the first signs that your hawk and traveler start to merge. So here it starts to merge, but the next clue is that the price needs to, in order for the price to go from this eagle to this eagle, it has to cross this eagle. So if I know that the price has to come back to the hawk at some point, I do know that in order to get that, I've got this eagle here, which could be considered like a resistance or a wall or a barrier for the price to go up to it. So if I see that the price is off here, I see that there's pressure, I see that there's potential room for the Power Pro could hit that second line as a possibility, but I do know if I'm going to take a trade, a long trade up to this hawk, I need to get inside of this eagle, this wall, this barrier. I need to make sure that I'm going to cross it before, because that can be a wall where you run into and it keeps on going down. So it's a scenario where you can see, and lots of other occurrences. Here's an example. The price goes up here, finally breaks that barrier, continues on up, and then it kind of gives it permission to then go the other way. So that's what I'm looking at here, is that in order for this price to come up here, now there are scenarios where you could expect the price to go right through this eagle and all the way back up. Now, at this point in time, you wouldn't expect this to go through because you still have this nice separation. So this could come back to the traveler and drop, or it could come just into this eagle and drop down. Nothing very favorable in this picture to go back up to the hawk yet. So now you have the scenario where the price came back to the eagle. You've sort of broken that eagle. Now you've weakened this, you've crossed it. It's not necessarily a full cross, like it's not a full cross like that and then back down. But nonetheless, this is still really important because you've weakened the eagle, because you've kind of punctured it and pulled back. And at this point in time here, the hawk and traveler do touch. So that is telling you, so even though it separates back out again out here, the scenario that it did touch and you're inside of this eagle is a reason that you're losing a lot of pressure to the downside in this specific picture. Another thing as well is this price is dropping. The Power Pro seems to be kind of flattened out in this area. So another sign here that it's weakened. So lots of details right inside of this Falcon 32 to pick up on to note, so it's not just smart money being flat, it's not just bars are inside of the eagle, it's all these details telling us that yes, this is starting to weaken. One thing that's important too, this zone would be here, so it's not a zone that came in after the fact. This is a pivot that you're coming into. So to think that this price is going to continue for a long ways down past this pivot, so that, let me open this up bigger. So you've got this big area of resistance right over here that is the price is coming down into. So if this had more, if this wasn't this scenario where your bars are inside of the eagle, you could be expecting that this could be coming to a deep, so an 89% retracement, but without using Fibonacci's, I can just say it's a deep because it's coming close to a pivot. It's pulling in deep to an area where there could be resistance. That's we call this a bull zone, because it could be giving it an area where there could be resistance for the price to go back up again. Now it can break these zones, but because you're in a scenario where you've lost, now your hawk is inside of your traveler. So those two have merged, your bars have been inside, and because you're pulling back before the zone and now you're weakened coming into it, you have less of the odds that this price is just going to keep blasting down through it. If it did have some energy on a higher time frame to really push this thing down, odds are it would push through it. It would come back to this area at some point to then continue back down, because this is quite a significant imprint on the market in this area. So because it was weakened going into it, odds are is that it's going to reverse. It could reverse at it at a double bottom, it could reverse it at a deep, or it could go a little bit past it. So going a little bit past it means that when you're past it, there's a good reason now. So you didn't have an opportunity to take it at the deep. You didn't maybe see an opportunity at a potential double bottom. When it crosses it and you're at the weakened state here, you are definitely looking for longs, because you expect this price to not just go up and stop here, but to continue back up, because you're getting signs of a reversal with this picture, just with the indicators. So as this price, as you are around this area, you've got a lot of signs. You're coming from a big push without, this was the last sort of big pullback. Not a lot of big pullbacks in here, made quite a big push, and this push went 56 points. So I don't have a 32 chart, but I can imagine if this chart went 56 points, it's possible that if there's a Falcon 64, the eagle was below the hawk on the 64, causing this big push to happen to get you this 56 points or 55 points or wherever it came from. Because if it was just the Falcon 32 that set up, it would have been more likely that this price ran 32, 34 points, somewhere in this neighborhood, to reverse back up again. So it's not unusual. If this was the picture on the 16, you could get more signs of the 32 telling you what's going on. So that's why the 16, we call that the anchor chart, is because you've got a chart above it and you've got a chart below it to give you some better signs of what's happening on the 16. So here we go. The price is now inside of here, weakened. Something that you would be looking for now on a lower chart to identify some type of reversal. So now looking at and then what I'll do here, because the zone doesn't show up on the 16. So coming down here, you'd be expecting this to reverse at some point as the price drops through here. Now, why would you expect it to reverse here, anywhere in here somewhere? Well, you've got a scenario where, yes, you have lots of divergence to the upside. So there's the price drops here. The Power Pro is not as low as this. You also have the merge of the indicators. So already at this point, your Hawk and Traveler are merged. And then your Eagle and Hawk here are merged as well. So this, all you can see here it's merged, and then, oh, it's separated again. That separation doesn't mean, just because it's separated here, doesn't mean that, okay, now I've got more power, that thing's going to go down. Because you had the merge already before, and it's continuing this sort of trend, that is telling you, so this picture is telling you that there's likely near the end of a push, and this you would expect a pop up. So not to be confused to say, okay, there's separation here, this is going to cause more of a push down. No, that's telling you that's near an end. So you've got a push. It does wick off inside of this eagle here. So had this price kind of cut through this eagle, this would have been a spot. If this, you would have had a wick up, any wick up, the odds are that price would have just popped. But because you've got some wicks inside of the underside of the eagle pushing off, it lessens the odds that the next wick bar up is just going to cut back up. But you do have that picture where there's a merge of these indicators telling you that that could possibly go up. So if you're watching, if you are in the live market and you're seeing this scenario, and this is a scenario where there's a lot of this picture, let me see if I can find, even this picture is a bit better. So here's an example. If this picture was on the 16 here, so it cut through, didn't pull back, the eagle got above the hawk here too. If it did this, the next wick bar up over here would have been the one to go, because you're already near the end on the 32. So because of the little detail here of this price pushing off, helps you, make you wait a little more when you see something like this. Like, oh yeah, this is right here. So potentially looking for a long, look at this nice wick up here. But you have to remember the scenario that over here, because this looks like a nice spot for this price to go up. It tests the hawk, doesn't quite touch the traveler there, but comes down at a nice green eagle. Nice wick off there. That looks like that could be a push to reverse the whole trend. But the details that you're kind of pushing off here is a good sign that you need to wait for a better picture to be taking a long trade back up again. So it's always about the scenarios on the chart. So this looks fantastic to take a trade, but this would only be fantastic if you had a picture on the 16. So if this didn't do this move up here and just this cut down through up here, this is a beautiful picture for a long. But because it was kind of, it did some pushes here. This is also the 1, 2, 3 kind of drop. And overall, the higher charts were giving a lot of energy down. It takes a little bit more work to turn things to go back up again. It's not just going to be a simple, there it is, bang. You've got to wait for the charts to start turning. So now kind of switching in to a little bit of chart rotation a bit too. So we're still going back to the 32. We're looking for the price to come up to this hawk. The hawk is a target. In fact, the traveler is a good target because it's already merged inside of the hawk. So this is quite the range on the hawk from here to here. That's an 8-point difference in the target. So an ideal target for this price to come back up to is the traveler, but look how steep it's coming down at. So if you are into something, there are odds, or it's not odds, it's as this price is coming back up, it's still going to take a little bit for it to start turning up, so that target does start sort of dropping a little bit. As you can see, as you go over, it starts dropping. So that is something to consider when you're setting a target if it's a traveler it moves. But going back to the 16 here. So looking at the 16, the idea is that the price should come up somewhere into this traveler that's up here. And also potentially, yeah, it didn't quick weaken perfectly here. Maybe this is an area where the market wants to come back to. Even the top of this, lots of flat tops here. An area where the market can come back up to. So another area for a target. So here we go, the price is inside of the eagle. So just as the price was inside of the eagle over here, you've now crossed this eagle at this point in time, you've weakened this eagle. So now you've given permission. The 32 already had permission to cross the eagle in the 32. Now in the 16, you've got permission to cross the eagle in the 16. So if you've got permission to go through this hawk on the this hawk on the 16, the eagle on the 32. So you're coming down, and now you know that because you've got permission that the price doesn't need to really do too much before it goes back up again, because you've tested this eagle, which is this hawk, and now you've come across the eagle on the 16, you've weakened that. Now you're getting into the better odds that this price is going to go and return back up. So all these little signs as well here on the 8, even better signs here. So you've cut through, you've got the merge of the indicators, and all you really need to go back up is a 1-2. And so that would be this 1-2 right here that reversed the whole trend back up again. So lots of signs well in advance to see this market reverse. So I don't like the reason why I'm sorry. The reason why I'm showing this is quite a drastic change in the market. But this whole analysis of this market reversal applies effectively everywhere you're analyzing the market, because you know if the market's going up, it's going to go down. If it goes up, if it's going down, the next move is it's going to go up. And the question is how far is it going to go in the opposite direction as it currently is at this point in time. And so this analysis of understanding these indicators and how they work also comes to play when, for example, you are taking, going back from the morning, so this is the Falcon 8, let's say you're looking for the price to come from this eagle down to this eagle down here. And so you've got the signs that the price is going to come back down to this hawk on the 8. So it's the same thing. Now you're just analyzing it more on the Falcon 3 and the Falcon 4 about the timing of when that reverses to do that drop. Or perhaps over here, this is a picture where it's just the same thing. It's eagle to eagle. Now the scenario is it's going from the eagle on the 16 to the eagle on the 32. So here, eagle to eagle. And then in this scenario, you get the turnover of the indicators here to tell you that it's going to go down to this hawk. But there's also more advanced signs that you can actually be looking for shorts, even if this eagle's above this hawk, to know that this is going to come down, and you can hold those type of trades even longer. So that same concept of that reversal of understanding how these indicators are telling you it's going to go the other direction applies to all the charts, and it applies to the different scenarios. So here is a 2.2 trade. Here's a much longer trade. And if this is setting up on the 32, well, you've got the longest trade sort of setting up over here on the 32. Scott, can I talk about the white wick bar on the 32 at 10:06 this morning? So you're talking about, yeah, I see what you're seeing. So if I roll this back here to this bar here. So this, sure, you could have the impression. So I'm assuming you're asking this because you have the impression that this looks like a white wick, beautiful white wick bar wicking perfectly off this eagle. Man, that thing's got to go back up to the hawk again. That picture. That looks like, oh my goodness. Yes. Okay, sure. I see. I can see that. Now, things have to line up on the scenarios have to line up to tell you that that's going to go up there. So because this is the 30, this is where it's, if you have this scenario on the 16, if this picture was the 16, you then have a 32 chart to tell you if, what's the pressure? Is it really going to go back up there? Or is it going to drop back down? So the 32, I mean, you can use the 3-hour chart. In fact, I haven't looked at the 3-hour chart at all today. But the 3-hour chart might be telling you, nah, that needs to drop. So that, I mean, that goes again back to why we use the 16 as the anchor chart. And that, yes, things can happen. That looks like it's set up. So remember, if this was the 16 and maybe the 32 was a picture where it was cutting through, I mean, let's see if we can maybe see some clues. So it looks like it, wicked nicely off the hawk here. It came through, it wicked off the hawk here. So it is pushing nicely off the inside of the hawk on this 32. That's a good sign that you're going to get some push down. It's funny because this picture here on the 32 looks like the picture that you could be taking a short trade on your Falcon 4 as soon as this wick bar here closes down. That's funny. That looks like the absolute kind of textbook picture on a Falcon 4 to be clicking as soon as it doesn't make a higher high, wicks down, eagle below the hawk to take a trade, a short right here for quite a dip, push down on just starting on the Falcon 4. But yeah, so we don't really have that ability to know what the pressure is of this hawk here. Is the eagle above or below the hawk on the 64? And yeah, it's a much bigger. It's double this chart. It's much bigger, so you don't necessarily you can't necessarily say that it needs to go up here. But yes, I see what you're saying, Scott. That's a good picture right there. That wick up there. One thing going into this wick up though, the difference with this picture here, this hawk is still coming down. So it keeps coming down, coming down, coming down, and even before this wick bar forms, it's still coming down. It's not a flat hawk sitting above, so that's a sign that it may not come back up to it right away. You may have seen that on like a Falcon, even if something like this sets up on the Falcon 4 or the Falcon 8 where you think that thing's going to go back up. Pay attention to those scenarios of what that hawk looks like, because sometimes when this hawk is coming down, it needs to do a little bit more of a dance to slow the hawk down before then it goes back up. So that almost looks that looks quite juicy, but maybe it needs to do more work if it were to go back up at this point. But hey, let's look at the 16 and 8 to see if there was anything there. This is leading up into that spot. This was a nice cut up here. So if you're looking to go back up for a target up here, you could have been, there's definitely a trade entry down here for long. But then if let's say you're holding a trade to thinking that is going back up there, you'd be seeing that, you're cutting through the magenta eagle to the upside. So at this point, this price is going to cut back. It has to drop down in order to go back up here. It'd be a nice picture. Like look at that distance off that eagle. So that has to drop. It does drop. Look at this. This picture is interesting here. The eagle is above the hawk and it is rising up, but it's pretty flat. It's not like it's pushing up kind of steeply And as well as the distance between that eagle's still below the traveler quite a bit. We want that picture. If we were to make a push, here's the thing, if we wanted the price to push up here, that would be a push of 17 points. Which means that in order to make 17-point push, you would have to have a good picture on the 16, eagle above the hawk, traveler in the middle, pushing it up. Okay, maybe here it's resetting to go back up. Potentially maybe here. But this is not a great picture. Like, look how flat. This is just, this is not a pretty picture to take a long trade. I mean, energy is flat. Nothing's kind of gaining momentum in this area. And yeah, there's not a lot on the 8 in this area as well to be looking for a long trade. So nothing, this wick bar is nice on the 632, but I don't see anything on the 16 and the 8 that would have said, hey, that's a beautiful entry to take that, up to that 16 points at that 16, or maybe at this point it was 12 points or something, up to that hawk on the 32. So yeah, you could have had, there's nothing wrong with having that view that, hey, I'm looking for a long trade here up to this hawk. Absolutely nothing wrong with having that in your head. But then you would be looking for the entry over here. And I don't see anything. This pick, like, just if you step back and look at this picture, even this picture over here, nothing is saying this guy has a lot of the picture. I mean, it's hard for me to describe because I see and I recognize, and I'd like to be able to verbalize it a bit better with you guys. But I mean, okay, here's the hawk, the eagle is flat, so this price doesn't come back up. That's weak. You also have it that the hawk here hasn't turned around yet on your 16. That's why that didn't go. Yeah, weak eagle on the 32. There were 3, I'm just looking here, there were 3 similar pushes before the market opening to the upside. Yeah, that was this. I think you're talking about this kind of made a 1, 2, 3 and then drop. But I mean, this, you could have been thinking 1, 2, 3 drop. Sorry, 1, 2, 3 drop, pop back up to the hawk. Could have been a potential move. And in fact, that's actually what I was this morning when I was watching the love market. I actually was thinking 1, 2, 3 drop and then pop. But I ended up taking, actually, I took a short right here, and as well I took a short in here as well. So it's I saw the 1, 2, 3 drop coming. And then this was quite obvious to pull back because of being way off of this eagle. This was a quite, it was the trade for me to take right at 10 o'clock, a nice little 2.2. What else? Yeah, especially the eagle above the hawk on the 16. Tim, you see too much divergence on smart money on the 16 and 8, which wouldn't seem to support the long. Well, at this point, I mean, I'm talking about when the market opens. So, I mean, I don't want to go too much into that information because that was done in a class this morning. And this was the way I was looking at the market this morning. But seeing that, okay, you've got a eagle hawk, you've crossed this eagle here on the 32, you could go back up to that hawk. And also is this the way 4 to a 5? Not sure, the potentials that could be a 4 to a 5, or this could be done the 5, and this could just be reversing the trend to go back to start a new wave count back the other direction. So yeah, I mean, there's the thing is on the 32, you're flat. The 16, you've hit the second line. So this could be, maybe this is a wave 3, a 4 down to a 5, A, B, C down to a 5, potentially going up back up again. And this looks like a 3, 4, 5 with the way smart money is. It's a possibility that you could go back up. But the pictures of the Eagles and the price and how I was reacting with it did not set up in a way to go back up. And then, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even be looking at the 8 at this point. I'd be looking at the 16 to see how this would be setting up to go back up again. Okay. Any questions? Any more questions on any of this? I don't want to talk too much about the morning because I'm just going to duplicate what was discussed this morning, but more on just chart rotations, questions about the Eagle, Hawk, Traveler, Smart Money, Twin Rivers, anything specific that anyone's sort of has questions on, or they've seen scenarios that they're unsure of? I'm surprised because there's 93 of you guys in here, but okay, Preston, rule for a double top or double bottom. Well, I don't want to call it a rule, but I would call it the tendency, because this is the market, and odds are things will do something. But yeah, so double tops. What I've noticed about double tops, here's an example of, here's a double top right from this morning. So double tops can be a sign of resistance. So it comes up to a price, comes back up, and also rejects that same price to drop. But the tendency is at some point down the line, the price will come back to cross that double top. But that cross doesn't have to happen right away. So sometimes you can get a really nice setup, like if you're looking for a short here, sometimes you can get a really nice setup on a double top. But you do know that a double top can come back at some point later. Now, this could come back. I mean, let's look at the 32. There's a good, here's a good example of a double top. Here's a double top way back here. And look how long it came back to cross. It took all this time to come back to kind of cross that double top. So a double top is, it's a sign that there is double tops can happen. You can see them quite often. If you study your historicals, you can see that they happen, all over the place. Here's a nice, almost perfect triple top. Actually, you know what this was? I believe the third one is, I should probably go to the Falcon 8. Yeah, I remember this in the market. So this made a double top, and then this crossed that double top. So that's a scenario where you get a double top, comes back up, crosses it to then finally go. Or sometimes you get the double top and it just goes. So there's no rule to say that it has to come back immediately like it did here. There's no rule that it says that, like, it doesn't have to, how is it going to take a long time to come back? How is it going to come back? There's no rules. It's just you get a double top. Yeah, it's just an area that can resist. So let's say this is the Falcon 32. There's potentially maybe a short trade that's set up on your 3 and your 4 right at this double top to take down. So that is kind of what I see with double tops. Preston, I hope that helps. I know everyone's kind of looking for the end all. What's the golden rule if this happens? But it's just that knowledge of, hey, a double top is, if you see something, if you see the indicators lining up telling you that that's the end of the push, it's weakened. The indicators are telling you that you're near the end of a push and you get a double bottom or a double top, it's just another reason to say that, hey, this could be the spot where this price reverses to get into. Yeah, it creates a point of support or resistance. Yeah, so like if, let me, like, I mean, right, even right here on that, well, here's a double top here on the 4. So here the price runs up, comes back down, and then wicks down right at this spot here. Good sign that that's rejecting. It's going to come back down, but yes, it goes back later to finish the double top. Can you call a double top where that short was taken? So there was a short. I'll call it the, oh, I think yeah, it's it was at 10 o'clock today. That's right. It was the 10 o'clock reversal trade. It almost made, I think it almost made like a triple top. Maybe it shows up better on the Falcon 3. Oh, on the 16? You're talking about, so this, whoops. This was a short here today. This was a short here today. I mean, there was even a short to be taken higher up on this. So are you talking about this one here where it kind of made a double top, cross it to give it permission to kind of drop? Is that what you're saying, Sergio? This one over here. Oh, so this is not, I wouldn't consider this a double top. This, between this pivot and this pivot, you're saying? To me, that's not a double top. Double tops are pretty much bang on to the tick. So if I show this on the Falcon 8, that made a higher push than the previous push. So I wouldn't consider this. So this was actually where the short set up. There was 2.2 here. I'm surprised actually it didn't come to the hawk. So it pushed up before even coming down to that hawk. But yeah, no, not a double top in there. Let me see if okay, I'm just gonna scroll up in some of these questions. I hope that answers the sort of double top, double bottom. But yeah, it's not. I'm not like, you can't say it's a rule. It's like it's the same concept as looking at the Elliott waves and trying to tell if this is a wave 5 or if this is just an ABC to then go up for a 5. It's just, that's the possibility of what could happen, but I'm going to look at what everything is trying to tell me on these charts and not just dialing into only one piece of information. Putting it all together. Okay, Jonathan had this question. So when the traveler gets inside the hawk on a downward push, you can expect there to be a reversal. What other indicators do you look for on the reversal? So yeah, that goes back to all the bits and pieces of not just, that's just one sign. That hawk and traveler is one sign that the reversal is coming. So if you're going to write something down and you're going to take something away today to go and study, what you want to study is okay, draw a line, and any whenever you got to have a reversal that looks like, you have a scenario like this, go to all the scenarios that you see this, scroll back to other times in the market where you see the same sort of similar on different charts. Doesn't really matter what chart it is. But notice all the factors what happened before the price went up. So you'll likely see that, okay, this time the bars are inside of the eagle. This time, okay, when did it cross? It crossed, this reversed when the hawk and traveler were merged. So just pay attention to those little details, put them all together. Yes, that is a good sign. The hawk and traveler is one of the clear signs, and it doesn't have to be a downward push. It's also an upward push too. You can see here the hawk and traveler merged. That's quite a drastic turnaround here. Let's go look. Let's find some type of, here's a push. So here's a push. Hawk and traveler. Now here, this is what's interesting. So you have a hawk that starts merging with the traveler right here. And then you can see that the price kept going up and up and up and up with the hawk and traveler merged. I'm going to ask someone, see if anyone can blurt out the answer in the chat box of why you would expect, why this is normal for this hawk and traveler to sort of be merged for so long while this goes up. Sort of a quiz. Yeah, higher time frame pushing up. So right over here. Yeah, perfect. So this should be a pretty instant response for most of you who are more advanced at this, and it should come to all of you. But when you have a case, okay, hawk and traveler are merged, and then you would be looking at the 16 saying, if I only had the 16, I could be saying that this is near the end of a push because, oh, look at this. Smart money is flat. It's diverging to the downside as this pushes up, but it just keeps going up and up and up and up. And the reason for this happening is because you've got bigger pressure on the higher time chart or tick chart, pulling that price up. So it's like this is pulling the price up over here in the Falcon 32, which is just keeping the picture here more extended out on the 16. So yeah, thanks Tobias and Carrie. Appreciate those responses. That's what happens here. So yes, that one sign can tell you when it's starting to weaken, but you've got to know where you're at with the higher time frames to know what that actually means on this picture. All right, let's see what other questions we had. Can explain a bit about a dual bar reversal. Yes. So dual bar reversal is effectively a wick up, wick down, wick up sort of picture. So here's a dual, this is a dual bar reversal right here. So I can even blow it up bigger. So effectively a dual bar reversal is a mini pullback. If we don't call it a pullback because doesn't give you the energy of a pullback, it gives you better energy. It's a little bit bigger of a pullback than just a wick bar. For example, let me find a point like here. So this is a wick bar, and what a wick bar is a mini, the price comes back to here. It's a 1-2 on a smaller chart. Where is this? Kind of think this is it. Nope. Where am I at? I think I have to go the other way. I'm blowing everything up, but a wick bar is, how far did I go over? I really lost myself now. Wasn't that one? Is this it? Oh yeah, this is it. Okay. So a wick bar over here on my 16. This wick bar here was a 1-2 on my 8. And then a dual bar reversal is just a little bit bigger of a 1-2. So a 1-2, the market works in kind of squats. In order to go somewhere, it's got to pull back and push somewhere. So the dual bar reversal on my 16 over here was created by this push pullback here. So this pullback created more energy of a push than, so if this price just went to here and went down, that would have just created a wick bar down in the middle of a push. But since this pulled back up here, it created a dual bar reversal because it went back a few more ticks to create a wick bar up and then a wick bar down. I hope that makes sense. But one thing you can do on your own time is just measure the bar. Like, okay, this went, how many? That went 3.5 points. And then the other thing you can do, okay, let's mark off that spot and let's mark off this spot of this bar. Let me delete this. And then, so if you want to see how these bars are created, you kind of do this exercise of, okay, so this bar stopped here because this is a wick up. That means it broke above it. So then when the price got up to one tick above this spot, so as the price went up and got just one tick above this red line, it would have then created this wick bar up. Then the price got up here, creating the price to come back to this eagle up here. And then when it got up, created a new bar here, went straight down. And then as soon as the price got to one tick past the bottom of this bar right here, it finished this wick bar down and created that dual bar reversal. Excellent. Any more questions? Brian, any tendencies or clues when the price will pass through the traveler to the next indicator if the traveler is in between the hawk and eagle? Okay, this will be my last question because this one is a little bit more to explain. And I'm just about at an hour here. So the question, this is a very common question, is when do you expect, actually this was a good example back here. That was, I think this is it. Nope, that's not the right spot. Here we go, it's over here. So the basic rule with the traveler, like let's say you're coming up here and you're coming up here. The question a lot of people ask, what's going to happen at the traveler? And the basic rule of this traveler is that if your eagle is above your traveler on the higher chart, you expect the price to go through the traveler on the lower chart. Now that's not always perfectly set in stone. That is a very commonality. It's a bit also about the pressure. So in this picture, this went through this traveler here. And I talked about this scenario in a class last Thursday. I talked about this exact spot in the market right here. This not just, okay, that eagle above that traveler is one of the key signs that you're going to go through the traveler on the lower chart. But sometimes you see, okay, that eagle was above the traveler, and sometimes you see, oh, it did stop at the traveler, come back and go up. It's about understanding the total pressure on the higher chart. It's really, yes. So I guess the really important key is that the pressure on the higher chart is going to tell you if that traveler is going to hold or not. So this coming into this spot down here, dropping down here, dropping here, which is this push on here. this is an immense amount of pressure to pop up because you've got this. This is just a really incredible picture where the price drops straight line down to this hawk where energy holds, and that eagle is way up there. Immense amount of pressure. And so on the 32 wheeler, the big hauler here is going to say, we're going to go right back up. So the higher time frame buying people are going to put more energy to suck this up, and that's going to suck the price through the traveler and the 16. So it's not just that the eagle is above the traveler in this chart, it's also that there's immense amount of pressure to suck this guy up. So this traveler is it's just not going to hold anything. It's going to go right through it. And so you'll see different scenarios where, okay, sometimes it does stop at that traveler and then come back down. And those are all factors that you have to consider. That what's that higher picture is telling you. You have to consider, even on the current picture, because this picture here, you could say, oh man, smart money is below like that first line. It's almost hitting that second line as it comes up. This is even still pointed down as this takes off. You could be, oh man, that thing could stop at the traveler here and drop farther. But this is definitely a case where it's just like the 32 coming into this spot here is screaming up. So then when you're studying this on your own, this scenario that is this traveler going to hold or not, you want to pay attention to the pictures on the different charts. The higher time frame. What is the higher time frame telling you? Here's a picture here. Let's see what happened at this spot. Why did this traveler hold here, dropped, and then came back up? What was the difference? What's the difference here? Okay, here we go. Eagle is above the traveler. Shouldn't that mean we should go straight through that traveler back up again? What are the signs that cause this to stop here? And we can analyze, okay, well, yes, it stopped at this traveler here. Okay, energy. Let's see, okay, it wasn't really going up here. It was kind of cutting back down, but this is the picture that should pop up because you're cutting through that open eagle to the upside. Look, it didn't do that. Okay, maybe there's something at the bigger, if we blow up this chart, we can see where we're at the bigger picture. Okay, this could be a 3, 4, 5 potential, reversal, maybe the big A, B, C. There's so I don't specifically see at this point in time without drilling in farther. I can't see why maybe this traveler held this time. This is cool for me because I'm going to spend some time looking at, okay, why was it that this time? There's something for me to learn here as well. Why did this not pop up like this? This is a picture that generally pops like beautifully, creates a nice long. So then if you were seeing this, you'd be looking for a long trade in here for this guy. I mean, here you're not pushing off the inside of the eagle. The eagle is still magenta, a reason for that to come back down again. But yeah, some time can be spent on these scenarios, and maybe this is the 5 to 10% of the time where this actually didn't quite behave the way we normally see it. So not to get too stuck on one scenario, but I do like seeing it. Kind of makes it more real when you don't see it working absolutely perfectly as it intends. But yeah, that would be your exercise, Jonathan, or no, sorry, Brian, when you're asking about that type of question, is to now go back and ask yourself, okay, what's that? How can I tell that that's going to stop at the traveler or not? And I mean, the key that I can help everyone shortcut that analysis and work is look at the higher time frame and now do the work to go back to see what was the scenario that set it up. All right, guys, I am done for this class. Time definitely got away from me on this one. Appreciate you guys all coming here, and thanks for watching.